On today's video, we are taking a look at the top defensive options in NFL free agents. To number 2, Yannick Ngakoue. I want to emphasize this part again. You do not find 25-year-old players who've had at least 8 sacks in 5 seasons. Now, he turns 26 in March, and I get that. But that consistency at his age is profoundly unusual. So because of that, Yannick Ngakoue, if the Ravens don't pay him, somebody's going to. And Yannick wanted to get out of Jacksonville. And he bounced around last year, but he still produced. There's going to be some real interest in him this offseason. Number 3, Shaq Barrett, another edge rusher. Franchise tagged by the Bucs last year. I don't think getting tagged again this season. Now, from a production standpoint, Barrett wasn't as good in 2020 as he was in 2019 when he had 19.5 sacks. But then again, Shaq Barrett still had 8 sacks and 11 tackles for loss. That's some wild 2-year production. Yeah, it's a bit of an outlier, the 19.5, but I think he can be a double-digit sack guy for you. Now, Barrett's a little bit older. That's why I went with Yannick over him. But these are 2 premier pass rushers, and those guys get the bag in free agency. So pick an edge for me, an edge pass rusher. Yannick Ngakoue, type in N, or for Shaq Barrett, type in B. You know, much was made about Devin White this Super Bowl time because he was so good, right? He is still not the best linebacker on his team. I will take it to my grave that Lavonte David, for the past 4 years or so, has been the most underrated player in the NFL. He is awesome, guys. He's a big reason why Devin White plays well, because David himself is an elite linebacker. Now, David is on the wrong side of 30, and from a money he's going to get in free agency, probably going to knock him down at least a little bit. But 12 tackles for loss, he can cover, he can run, he can blitz if needed. He's awesome. I love Lavonte David. I don't know where he's going to go, but he's going to get a nice contract in what could be his last big one. And we got a whole bunch more names to dive into here, but I want this question to be the pinned comment on today's video. So if you get the ad break here on YouTube, scroll on down and let me know who your number 1 defensive free agent is for this upcoming free agency cycle. To Patrick Peterson now, as things get a little bit different on our list. He's not the same guy he was in his prime, but NFL teams are desperate for cornerback help, and Pete remains a big-time name in the NFL. I also wonder if at some point in the not-too-distant future, he moves to safety. Is he a full-fledged, true, dynamic number 1 lockdown corner? Not sure he is anymore. I think he could be one at times. Has had moments, of course. Put him on a better team. Look out. So I like Patrick Peterson. There's my number 5 free agent on defense. I almost went with this guy at number 5. William Jackson of the Cincinnati Bengals. He's younger than Patrick Peterson. And the Bengals, meanwhile, they paid Trey Waynes big money last year, but then did not play at all in 2020. But that's beside the point there. Jackson, meanwhile, has battled injuries in the past. And he hasn't been the most consistent in terms of making interceptions. But as a cover corner, which is what I want out of my corners, right? He's good. I think Jackson is pretty underrated in the NFL. So 6 might be high for him, but I like him quite a bit. I feel bad for our number 8 player, Bud Dupree, because he played great in 2019, was off to a strong start in 2020, and then tore his ACL in December. So from a recovery standpoint, the NFL is different. You can come back from an ACL quicker than most people think. But that's tough timing there. And it's going to impact just what he gets in free agency. And with a down cap year, could Bud Dupree bet on himself again? Could he bet on I'm going to take a 1-year deal maybe in Pittsburgh or somewhere else and try and cash in again next offseason? Richard Sherman, meanwhile, this might be his last contract. Now, he's only got a few seasons, by his own admission, left. He said maybe 2 years. He's coming off a down year. He was banged up a lot in 2020, missed some time, but he can still be a starting caliber corner in the right scheme. The team that I keep coming back to, I think makes so much sense for Sherman. Go join your old defensive coordinator, Robert Saleh, in New York. They can pay you the most money, probably. They could bring you in to be a key veteran mentor on a team that needs those guys. So from that perspective, I like Sherman quite a bit. Now, as these guys sign or potentially get tagged or whatever, we're going to let you guys know what's happening with all of the latest news and rumors and coverage around NFL free agency. So if you want to stay updated, just hit the big red button and subscribe. The link is at the bottom of your screen. It's youtube.com/chatsportstv. Don't miss out. Join us at Chat Sports today. Number 10, Leonard Floyd, who I will take the I was wrong tag here. I thought the Rams paying what they did was stupid. I thought they overpaid him. And then Leonard Floyd had, by a massive margin, his best year ever for L.A. And I wonder, could he follow Brandon Staley to the L.A. Chargers by chance? Could he become the edge rusher opposite Joey Bosa? Maybe after a 10.5 sack season. Someone's going to pay him. The question is, do they trust him to be consistent? Do they trust that this past year was the real Floyd or more of a flash in the pan? We'll see what happens. A franchise tag player last year, Anthony Harris, will not be getting tagged again this year. He was better in 2019. 6 interceptions. Dipped down to 0 this past year. And with Harris and another guy we'll get to here in a second, I wonder how the market is going to impact them. We've seen the safety market never quite get the same breakout that other positions have had. Has never taken the full-fledged incredible leap forward. And yeah, Budda Baker got paid and hasn't been reset quite yet in the same way Jalen Ramsey or Joey Bosa did, right? So for Harris, I wonder if a strong safety crop might result in, kind of like a few years ago, these guys all waiting for some type of good deal. Number 12, Trey Hendrickson. Talk about a breakout season, right? 13.5 sacks this year after just 6.5 in his previous 3 seasons. That's pretty darn crazy, right? The Saints, they are tight on cap space. I get that. And in a perfect world, he actually probably would have been a franchise tag candidate. But despite only being age 26 with the one proven year, I wonder just how much money Hendrickson is actually going to be able to get this offseason. I'm curious to see what ends up happening there. In terms of under-the-radar guys, Hendrickson is one to keep an eye out for. So I want you guys now to go down to the comments section and name an underrated NFL free agent on defense. Maybe it's someone we didn't even mention at all so far. Whatever you're thinking, let me know what you guys think in the comments section. Number 13 is HAASON Reddick, who finally had that breakout year for the Arizona Cardinals. And he finally took that next step forward of being the guy that the team thought of, yeah, you know what? He's going to be a true, top-tier player worthy of that top 15 pick here. The concern, of course, is that Reddick only has 1 year of production. And that's a bit of a red flag in terms of, yeah, we're going to go ahead and pay this guy some big-time money. And I wonder if at least at some level, the addition of J.J. Watt might make him less likely to return. And they can still make it work with as low as J.J. Watt's cap hit is, but paying Chandler Jones and J.J. Watt and HAASON Reddick, it's a lot. Keep an eye out on this one. Number 14, Marcus Williams. He is a free safety in today's NFL, and that matters. Those guys are tough to kind of find. There was a report that the Saints want to find a way to keep him, which makes sense. And if any team is going to manipulate the salary cap and make it work, it is the New Orleans Saints because they love to do that. But the price might be too much for him because they're going to have him come back in free agency because they're probably not going to tag him. So keep an eye on Marcus Williams. If your team needs a safety, good chance he leaves New Orleans this offseason. I wanted to go to Matt Milano, number 15, a lesser name here, keeping with that thread of underrated players. The Bills linebacker only played 10 games this past year, was a bit banged up, and frankly I thought played better in 2019. But he's fared well in coverage. And as the NFL moves beyond the 2020 season and into the future, coverage is what matters. It is a pass-driven league. Your linebackers better be able to cover or else they're not going to get paid. A former safety, well, Matt Milano can do that pretty darn well. So he checks in at number 15 on this list. So who did we disrespect? Who am I hating on here? That by leaving off our top 15 list. Let me know what you guys think in the comments section. Any name that you want to see get some more love. It might be one of these next 10 names we'll throw in here for bonus, right? Jadeveon Clowney, who, he was bad. Melvin Ingram, Matt Judon, Ryan Kerrigan, Carl Lawson. 4 more edges. I like these guys. I'm a big Carl Lawson fan. I loved Shaq Barrett a few seasons ago. Lawson's my pick for wherever he signs on the cheap. Potential breakout year coming. Elsewhere on defense, 2 more safeties. John Johnson, I'm intrigued by him. I think he might get some big money somewhere. Jaquiski Tartt, excuse me. The Niners safety, box guy, makes some sense. Dalvin Tomlinson, I like him a lot if you want to run someone who can help the pass rush there. That intrigues me. Shaquille Griffin as well, the cornerback, younger guy. I don't think as good as William Jackson, but corners get paid. So keep an eye on these guys getting some big-time money in free agency.